Hi, I'm Jesse Adler and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be showing you very quickly just how to install the refractory cement or rigidizer and how to assemble this Devil Forge here. The model I have I'll put up on the screen, I don't remember it exactly, but basically it's the one-doored version of the 2PROF. I'm not sure, you'll see it on the screen. But this is pretty much everything that comes with it. I also have a flathead screwdriver and I have a big wrench. I would suggest having like a socket kit just to fit on these screws, or you can even do them by hand, but I'm just going to use that because that's what I have right now. Also, I'm going to supply a mask, and I don't think you really need these for the KO wool, because if it gets in your lungs it's not very good for you, but I have these laying around, of course, in these times, so I'm just going to use it. And I got these gloves just to protect my hands. And yeah, so I got this forge just because I've been making a lot of these knives recently, and I thought it would be a better option because it's propane than the wood-fired forge I'm using right now. So let's get right into it. So the first thing that you're going to need is a bucket, and I completely forgot to just say that. So you're also going to need a bucket, and that's going to be how you're going to mix up the refractory cement. So if you look on it, it has a few instructions. It says, if you can read that with me there, it says to have 300 grams of rigidizer and 210 milliliters of water. So I'll mix that up off camera and then I'll get you back on. Okay, so I went and got the water, and I took that opportunity also to get my gloves and mask on, because once you put this in it's going to be a bit messy and you're going to want to start stirring it. So now's a good time to put those on if you're following along with me. But there we go. Okay, now time to put the water in. And I'm just going to pour that in. Okay, and they did supply a 2.5-inch brush, which was nice, but they did not supply a paint stir. So I'm just going to use this stick here and I'm going to stir it up. But yeah, that's what you got to do. I don't know if you're able to see, but that's a consistency in mine. There we go, kind of like soupy. All mixed together, no big lumps. So now I'm gonna put it in there. That's the part where you really need your mask and gloves. So I'm gonna open up this side so that I have the whole thing all opened up, so I can get in from either side. And I'm going to position it this way so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And yeah, let's see how to do it. Okay, there we go. Hopefully guys, you can see a little bit better. So this is KO wool. It's a very good insulation, but if you breathe in the particles that come off of it, they are not good for your lungs, so that's what the mask is for. And like I said, it probably isn't necessary, but I'm just gonna do it because doing safety is better than having my lungs destroyed in the long run. Okay, there we go, and there's holes on the top, so I'm just aligning those up. Okay, I'm just gonna continue to start pushing this into the edges so that it creates a nice square, and stuffing it into the corners. I'm gonna continue on the other side as well. Making sure the top lines up with the, so on the top where the burners go, there's some holes, so you want it to line up there. And it can overlap on the sides, it probably will. Mine is on one side overlapping, but you just want to make sure it gets all the way into the corners so that you have as much space inside as you can with this size forge. That way you can do the biggest pieces. So I'm probably going to turn it on to time-lapse mode, so you'll see a bit faster. I won't bore you. Actually, I almost forgot. You're going to want to put the burners on first, because you'll have to put some rigidizer up there as well. So you want to put them on, and I'm going to unscrew these little screws up here. And they're going to hold them in nice and securely. So let's put that like that. There we go, they're both in there. And what it said to do is have them line up with the bottom of with the top edge of the KO wool in there. So I'm just gonna look down inside of here and see if they line up. So I need to push them, it looks like, a bit further in to line up. Okay, that one has lined up, so I'm gonna start tightening these screws. And they're pretty loose, you can just do it by hand. Tighten this back one. hips to a level. Okay, that one's in there pretty well. Now let's move on to the other side. Open this up. How's it looking in there? Okay, that one's pretty level. I'm gonna start tightening this side down. There we go. And then they provided you with these little KO wool round little thingies. Let's see if I can open this with gloves on. There we go. And they're to put up here in the gap so that flame doesn't shoot out. Because you don't want that to happen. That could burn some stuff and mess up the paint, and you know. So these little, just small little inserts. That was nice of them to think of. That flame might come out of here. So I'm gonna do my best to stuff these down in here. I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna work. Okay, got those in eventually by just cutting them into tiny little pieces and stuffing them in. So now I'm gonna put the rigidizer on. It's pretty simple. You're just gonna use the paintbrush and brush it on the inside, and then you're gonna let it dry for a full 24-hour day. Okay, so it's all finished now. You can see inside of there, it's all good. I have this door completely done as well. Anything with KO wool is all covered up now. And I found it was also helpful for the small spaces to use this little, like, artist brush and stuff, along with the big one. So that's good. I also got it kind of on the concrete here, but I think that should just come off spraying it with a hose, so I think that shouldn't be a problem when you're setting this up. But yeah, I'm going to put this to the side, save that KO wool for if I need it another time. But yeah, put it to the side, and I'll see you tomorrow once it's all dried. Before it dries all the way, I completely forgot to mention, you got to get your fire bricks inside of there. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours now, and I'm ready to finish assembling it. And I'm sorry if it sounds a little bit echoey. I'm inside of the shed right now, because this is where I had it overnight. But first I'm going to take the regulator here. It feels very nicely made. And I just have to say, I've been really impressed with all this stuff. Like, they offered me more rigidizer than I needed, and there's like good instructions for everything. But yeah, so you're gonna take this little piece here, I don't know what it's called, and you're gonna take the little hex nut thing, and you're gonna insert it in. You see how that works? And then it's a left thread, and you're gonna thread it up in there. And I'll tighten that down in a minute off camera with some with a wrench. You're also gonna take this little T thing, and this is a normal right-handed thread, and you're just gonna thread that in. And I believe all the way in is off, and then loosening it makes it more on. So I'm gonna thread that all the way in. There we go. And then the hose fits onto here, and you kind of have to push a bit. Okay, there we go. I tightened that fitting on, and then I ended up using some Teflon tape for gas lines. But yeah, now I'm gonna get the rest of that on. Okay, there we go. I put some elbow grease into it, and now I've got that hose on there. So now I'm going to loop one of these hose clamps on from the other end of the hose and tighten it down. Okay, there we go. Got that on there. So the next step is to attach the hose to the forge body. And you see this is where it goes on right there. So I'm gonna see if I can just press that on. There we go. It's getting a bit further on there. I'll get as far as I can. So get this on. Okay, that's as far as I can get. Yeah, that's off camera. Okay, off camera I got it on about another ½ inch. Oh wait. I forgot to put the hose clamp on. So remember to slide that hose clamp on before you do that on. But I think I'll be able to fix it without taking that off, just by undoing the hose clamp all the way. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I was able to get that, get the little hose clamp on without taking it off, without taking the hose off. So that's good. Now I'm just tightening it back down. That was quite hard though, so don't make the same mistake I did. Put the hose clamp on if you're following along right now, and before you put the hose on. Okay, there, take it down. Once we get this on, wait for the video. Let's start forging. Okay, so now I got that on there, and before you put it in your propane tank, I just realized I told you guys the wrong thing. You actually turn left to decrease the pressure, and you turn right to increase it. Sorry about that. Please don't turn it on with it all the way down, or you will be blasting a lot of pressure. So I'm gonna decrease it all the way. Let's just have it barely in there on the little regulator. There we go. And now we're ready to put the propane tank on. And once you put the propane tank on, wait to light it. So do everything as the instruction manual says and turn the tank on, then turn the regulator on, but just turn it on low. And then get some soapy water and put it along all the different connections and make sure that no air is bubbling out of any of them. Or I should say propane rather. Otherwise you could have a dangerous explosion. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll get you back on once I'm ready to fire up the forge. Okay, so I've waited a little bit to fire it up just to make sure it's completely set, but it's a few hours later and I think it's ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the valve. You can't really see it at the propane tank, the regulator valve, just a little bit. Once I've already got a flame in there, and I'm just going to be using a blowtorch so that I can do it from far away. And you can use a normal lighter as well. Just make sure it's like, I think they call them barbecue lighters with a long stem. And if you're using a small little handheld lighter, maybe light a candle and then use that, because you don't want to get your hand that close, otherwise it'll burn you. And you see it caught, I'm going to make it a bit more air-rich. There we go. And it's on. And I'm going to bring you down a little bit closer. You see it in there. I only have one burner on right now, but I can have two on if I want. So let's test it out. Look at that, red hot in like a minute. Amazing. So I'm really excited, it worked really well. And also, when you're done, I would suggest opening up the choke up there to let the heat vent so it doesn't go up the hose, because the hose can melt. But yeah, like I was saying, overall I've been really impressed with how this has worked, and definitely you will be seeing it in future videos. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and go on one of those videos over here, and I'll see you in a few minutes.